Afternoon, everybody. How are we doing? Alex here, as always. I'm joined by Tudor Mihaleski, who's in a very sunny Amsterdam. I can see we've got people. This is probably the most international audience that we've got today. I can see we've got Italy, Switzerland, and Cumbria. Rachel, very good. I'm down in Poole in Dorset, where it's equally a beautiful day as well. But thank you everyone for joining. We've got Tanya in Manchester. We've got John in Lincoln. Mrs. in Milano. T is in Buckinghamshire. Joel is in Geneva. Rachel's in Cumbria.
Hey,
Mark's
Joel.
in London. Liviu, might know that person by the look of it. Salve Tudor. Coventry. Okay. So this is the second webinar that I've hosted with Tudor. And today, those of you who don't know, he's a CEO, co-founder of SpeechifAI, which is a tech company based in Amsterdam, but pretty international. Tudor's been nominated for the Forbes 30 under 30 in Europe for his impact on digital communications field. He's now based, as I say, in Amsterdam with his team, just coming out of the Antler cohort, the global startup generator and an early stage VC. I was over there myself with Tudor. When was that now? I forgot. Was it October, November?
I think it was early November.
Early November. I think you're right.
A different life and a different world.
A different life. You're right. Completely different world. Although, what's it like in Amsterdam? People moving about a little bit more? You're allowed in cafes, restaurants?
The Dutch do what they call intelligent lockdown, which means that everyone works from home, but people can still go out to exercise, and they can go to supermarkets. So it was not a hard lockdown as people experienced in New York or in other places in Europe. They've also taken an interesting approach to face masks. Which is they first wanted to fill up the stockpiles of the medical units and all hospitals and make sure that all medical emergency workers have enough. Mm-hmm. And they're now considering rolling it out to the wider population once they've made sure they have enough stockpiles. So people don't actually wear masks on the streets, but everyone, and it's also up to personal personal care. For instance, I haven't actually met anyone face to face apart from my flatmate in the last 3 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I saw some images on the media, and it was showing some restaurant in Amsterdam by one of the canals, and they were serving people, and they were in like their own
bubbles.
Little hut, like a bubble. Yeah. And the waiter was like handing something on a,
I'm not sure. I mean, I know some places are open for takeaways now. There may be specific regulations that you need to meet to actually qualify for opening restaurants at this stage. I wouldn't know. Yeah. I've seen the pictures myself. I don't know exactly where that is in Amsterdam.
Cool. Similar to the UK, but I don't know. It gives us a bit of hope when we see, Germany and other countries, relaxing the borders, kids going back to school, businesses open, economy reopening, etc. Okay, so loads more people joining us now. I can see Ian from Leicestershire, Anna from London, Rena from Newham, London, Phil from London as well. So loads of people diving in, which is great. So give you a tiny little bit of background. SpeechifAI, and again, do correct me if I'm wrong, but can boost your visibility by turning your customers into your social media influencers. So not having to, spend loads of money on marketing to try and find new customers during this time, but turning inwards and looking at your existing customers base to make them your biggest fans.
Yeah, exactly. We'll go into the platform itself. A little bit of a background. I've worked a lot in digital advertising and digital communications. I was a co-founder of another startup before that was connecting citizens to politicians to question and answer sessions. And I've also written a PhD on how American presidents write their speeches. What's very interesting with SpeechifAI is that we've realized that, and there's some really interesting statistics out there, is that most of the customers that companies have are actually willing to refer. They're doing it anyway face-to-face, but very few of them are doing it in the online environment. And it's not because they don't want to or because they find it weird. It's most of the times because they don't know what to say or they don't have the time to do it. So Speechify basically acts as a way, as a personal speechwriter for all of these customers who want to speak about the companies that are giving them a great service. And I'll show you how the platform works. We'll go through it a bit during the webinar itself. But the reason, so when Alex and I were speaking about how we're going to discuss and how we're going to plan this webinar, it made me think of a philosophy that the founder of Shake Shack has, which is basically they're looking. He looks at the community of Shake Shack as a series of circles, right? So you have your team, you have your customers, you have your wider community, and then you have your investors, right? This shows the orders of priority in how to care to each one of them, but it also means something else, that when things get tough, you can rely on your entire community. Most businesses have this way of thinking that it's us and then it's everyone else, and like we just cater to customers. Actually, customers are part of your community. If you take well care of them, then when you run into a problem, for instance, during this crisis, you can go back to them for help. And we've seen amazing examples of that. For instance, restaurants who cannot do in-person deliveries, but they've opened up takeaway services, and all of their previous customers don't cook at home anymore, and then just do takeaways because they want to save their favorite restaurant. This is the perfect example of this, and this is what I would love to speak more about in the webinar as well, in the context of Speechify, but also to open up questions to about other issues about digital strategy and how to use your customers as referees, basically.
Great. Yeah, got a couple of questions already. Do you want to answer them now, or do you want to roll into the presentation and answer them at the end?
I think it's we can. What do you think?
I think show them a little bit first, and then come back to the questions. I reckon. Let's do that.
Okay, sounds good.
It might answer some of the questions anyway. So yeah.
Sure. Awesome. Let me do that, and I'll share the screen so I can take you through a few.
We are, just to let everybody know, we're also streaming this live in Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube today. But you'll need to, those of you listening to me on those platforms, you'll need to jump in here at the Festival of Enterprise to be able to interact and ask Tudor and myself some questions. So just to give you a heads up there, and do use the chat box.
Should I share my screen already?
Yeah, go for it.
Let me do it.
As I say, folks, use that chat box on the right-hand side. There is a question button as well, but Tudor won't get to see those the way the platform's set up.
Sounds good.
So
okay.
just use the chat box.
This one. Sounds good. Awesome.
Okay.
So I'll start this way. I'll start with an actual example of one of our current clients. Aloicard is a credit card company that is launching a new product. And the way they're doing that is by basically asking their current customers to refer new friends to the to sign up on the wait list for when the card is launched. So the way it works is you send your current customers an email, and what traditional referral marketing traditionally companies who do referral marketing do is they give you here a link that you need to copy paste manually, send to a friend, and tell them, hey, you should sign up for this service. We're changing that. So rather than having that link, the client basically embeds here an action button, which is share with your friends, that takes you to your own Speechify sharing page. This is created individually for every customer, right? Based on this unique parameter. So I've now landed on my own personal sharing page, and I can share a message either publicly, for instance, this way. I choose my social network, and then I have a number of messages that are meant to convey different experiences of using a LOI card. And I choose the one that I identify with the most. If I don't like any of these ready-made ones, I can actually build my own based on building blocks. So the one that I really like is actually this one, because I've just discovered the LOI card. So this actually captures my experience. And then I really like this black photo because I think it's slick. They give me a hashtag that is already embedded. And then my own referral link is actually already in the post. I click on customize and share. Takes me to Facebook. And all of these elements are already put together for me. I'll just click here on share with. Oh, that's weird. Okay, I'll just share it. There you go. That's it. So I can also share it now. And then I share it on Facebook. And let me take you to Facebook to see what this looks like. There you go. And this is the post that I built in a few seconds, and that actually represents my own experience.
Very quick, very slick.
And there's a few other ways to do this. Actually, if you join from your phone, you're actually able to send these messages to any of your friends that you think may be interested in it. And I'll show you the example on LinkedIn, actually, because this is the one that we have here that you could use a private message to. And I'll share it with you, Alex. I can send it as a private message. And I've chosen one already. And then this is.
And there I have it.
This is what the message looks like. So
there I have it on my phone. Boom.
Exactly. And when you log in from your phone when you land on the page, you can actually send these kinds of messages that are specifically created for direct message. This one is for LinkedIn in general, right? So it's a little bit longer, that you can send. You can use on any messaging apps that you have on your phone. The really cool thing about this is that you basically have access to very detailed analytics about what your customers are doing. And I want to share with you a different page, which is this one, just from one of our clients. You cannot see the name of the client, but you can see what happened in the last week. So in the last week, they've had 6,000 people who landed on their own personal sharing pages and produced close to 7,000 shares that produced 2.5K clicks on different platforms. So basically, rather than paying for advertising, this client is using their own customers to produce those clicks and those conversions for them. And there's so many companies out there who have a very loyal client base and now who cannot do word of mouth referrals in person, so they could do it online pretty easily.
Yeah.
There's a few other stats here, which is basically the kind of sharing behavior that that your users have. See how many shares happen per every platform. See, in this case, we see Facebook was quite a lot. There's some people who are copying and downloading the content so that they can share however they want outside of Speechify itself. And then see, we had mobile users and then desktop users. Then below you have that won't be able to show you here because, as I said, it's a real client. We have the most shared texts and the most shared images that the client has that the client's users have shared. And then we also show you the clicking behavior, which is how many clicks per platform. So see, in this case, in this last week, we've had 300 clicks that came from direct message. Most of them, close to 2,000, came from Facebook. And only in this last week, if the client would have had to pay for digital advertising, they would have had to pay for around 2K to get these clicks.
Big saving. Yeah.
Yes. And a really cool thing about it is that this works all over the world. So see, for instance, this client works in a lot of different countries. And in this last week, they've had, for instance, the most users who joined were from Nigeria, India, and Indonesia. With most of our clients are in the US, actually. So we've seen that space work very well. We have clients in the UK and pretty much all over the world. Since we launched Speechify in the summer of 2019, we had users from 180 countries who created more than 60,000 posts for us that are worth around $4.5 million in total. So that's a quick run through of the platform. We've recently launched another feature, and I can show this live to you. So this is Appen. Appen is the world leader in data labeling for artificial intelligence. So of all companies who want to use artificial intelligence in their applications need someone to label their data. So Appen does that for them. What we were doing for Appen is we helped them integrate Speechify in their own blog by replacing those traditional sharing buttons, that everyone clicks on, but no one actually is able to use properly. The way it works is after you've read the article, you land to the bottom of it, and you will see posts that have been written by communications experts that are actually capturing the main elements of that post and the different experiences of reading it. For instance, I'll use Twitter, and for instance, this one is about how really the process of data labeling works and how you can tell, how a robot can tell the difference between a lamppost and a cat, right? So I choose this one and I share it easily on Twitter. And this is what it looks like. Some of our clients use Twitter a lot. Some of our clients use other platforms. So I wanted to show you an example of a client who uses Twitter a lot because they create a movement around their product. And this is Civic Technologies. It's one of the clients we've worked with the most. And they advertise a wallet for identity. So you can keep all of your identity elements in one place. This one is based on cryptocurrency. And so you have various users who are actually sharing posts about Civic on Twitter to create a movement around it. See, posts in different images, different texts, different hashtags that are coming from users who really believe that Civic can help them keep their identity private while using the various online services. To sum up, the main benefits to using Speechify is that it helps you get your customers to become your online influencers by giving them an easy way to share messages and refer your company to their friends. They can do so on every available social media network, including direct message, and it allows you to track everything that they do, what shares, how many shares they do, how many clicks, and how many conversions they also produce for you. And you can also see what content works and what doesn't, so that you can also A/B test. If you have 500, let's say you have a restaurant, and if you have 500 of your customers who are all sharing messages to their friends about your latest dish that you added to the menu, then you know that is a good one. So you give them different ways, and it's a way for you to A/B test. Right. So this week we introduced 4 different experiences about the restaurant. So I share it with my friends because of the new dish. I share it because it's clean and it makes me feel safe, even in this weird time. Another one that praises maybe your drive-through deliveries, right? And I, as a customer, will go there, will see those 4 messages, and will choose the one that represents my experience the most. But you, as the business, will know what messages were shared the most, but also which ones are the most convincing to the friends of your customers.
Yeah.
Was it the message about drive-through that made them click? Was it the one about the new dish, or was it the one about cleanliness? So it's basically it's a way for you to have complete transparency on how your customers are working for you and advertising you, but also a way for you to test what works and keep the pulse on the experiences of your customers.
I could imagine then, I mean, at the moment, have you found, like, in the last 6, 7, 8 weeks, Tudor, that you've been getting more inquiries with people trying to leverage software like this?
Yes, so there's been a huge change. In the last few years, most of the online tools that were built to make sure that people stay offline. Right? You had this big mantra of we empower offline activities, and the online is just the medium for making that happen. Well, in the last couple of months, we've been scrambling to build tools that keep people online. And so we've seen an increased interest because there's a new online behavior now. People are trying to replicate in the online environment what they used to do face-to-face. And that's what Speechify is about, helping you communicate online in a similar way to which you would communicate face-to-face. Obviously, keeping into account the differences, right? So an interesting analogy here is, let's say you go today to a fashion event, right? And you meet a certain kind of people there. Tomorrow you go to a networking event, and the day after you go to a barbecue with your friends. In each one of those settings, you would speak to the people there in a different way. You won't speak to your friends the way you speak to the people you're networking with. It's the same thing with social networks. Every social network has its rules of engagement.
Yeah.
And that's why posts need to be different for multiple platforms. And most people don't pay attention to this.
No, they don't. It's just copy and paste.
Which is fascinating is that even Instagram and Facebook don't pay attention to this. There is a button in Instagram that helps that copies what you've posted on Instagram directly on Facebook. I think that's a huge mistake.
Is that? I didn't know that. Okay.
Because it's a different audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so because people right now are going into the online that much, we want to be there to basically teach them how to use them properly.
Here's a question. Let's chuck a couple of questions in to keep the engagement. Here's a question. I haven't got the name. It's just Miss, but she's messaged and says, we have an organic tea company is this mainly for techies? I know you're going to answer that well. Would Instagram and WhatsApp work for us?
Yes. So we've worked with products in many different spaces, from cleaning, effervescent cleaning pills, to financial services products, and now with content promotion. So like we work with Festival of Enterprise for promoting their content online, right? So it works for everything. The key here is for you to have a loyal user base. If people love your product and they're willing to refer it face-to-face, they will be willing to refer it online. And the second part of the question, the interesting thing with Instagram is that it's actually the most closed platform. And let me show you, I can actually show you an example of this. I'm not sharing my screen anymore, right?
No, I just realized that. I'll bring us up on screen afterwards.
So let me show you how Instagram works. And I'll use the same example.
And any other questions, folks, do pop them in the chat or the private message, and I'll bring them both up.
So the problem with Instagram is that they do not allow any content to be shared from outside the app. But there's a workaround here, which basically means you cannot share a referral link on Instagram. Also, the posts themselves do not take links. So what we do is this. So people can choose their messages, their hashtags, and then their picture. And then when you click customize and share, you get this message on your phone. Obviously, it works on the phone better than on desktop because you cannot post pictures on desktop. So you long press the image to download it, and it will be copied in your clipboard. And then you click to launch the Instagram app. Once you launch the Instagram app, you can upload the photo, and you'll already have the text. You just need to click paste. It's the most it's the most we can do for Instagram because of the limitations of the platform itself. However, we've seen a lot of use on it too, and it actually works similar to what, if people familiar with Instagram will know, the Regram app that basically allows you to retweet on Instagram, which uses the same functionality.
I didn't know that either. Didn't know you could do that either.
On WhatsApp, it's easy. If you click on a Speechify sharing in from your phone, you will see a message saying you'll see an option for direct message. If you click on direct message, you'll be able to share with your friends, either in groups or in chats or with individuals on any messaging app you have on your phone. And WhatsApp has been one of the best, of the most used ones.
I bet, yeah.
So you can easily share it that way, and it works seamlessly. So you'll be able to share the link, you'll be able to share the text, and you'll be able to also share the picture that you've chosen to accompany that link that you can choose yourself, basically the preview too. So it works very well.
Very interesting. A couple of other questions. So Liviu says, isn't Speechify like speech to text on iPhones? Speechify. Like speech to text. No.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, she's just saying, is it you're literally just replicating like a voice, turning it into text on phones, but you're doing far more than that, obviously. You're giving people options to refer and share.
So it's this is the first version of it. He wrote back and he said wrong app, confused with some other company.
Oh yeah, I can see. Yeah. And what Joe says, what do you use in order to get them to refer? So maybe you can dive a little bit deeper into that.
So the way, one of the really cool things we've seen is that most referral marketing programs report a conversion rate between 0.1 and 0.25, which means out of every 100 people who's offered the possibility to refer, maybe 10 to 15 do it. In our case, our best metrics are around, I mean, even above 1. The ones in product referral go between 0.7 and 0.9. And I'll share my screen again to show you an example.
Okay.
I clicked on. So here you go. So this example I've shown you previously. And in the last week, we've had more than 1 share per user. So you bring 10,000 people in, you'll get 10,000 shares. Which is because we've tapped into an essential aspect of human behavior, which is if you give people amazing content to share, they will do it because they will feel proud of doing it and they'll have something to say. Most referrals are lost because people have writer's block. They're like, I want to share this, but I don't have the time to write it, and I'll do it, and then you never do it.
Then they never do it. No. It's got the best of intentions, but...
And thanks, Warren. I really appreciate
Warren's
it.
in. Not the future.
Warren was part of the last webinar.
Yes,
and we actually had the chat about.
Oh, you did? Cool. Okay. Yeah,
about his fashion company. We need to follow up on that. So the key here is giving people good content that represents their experience. And SpeechifAI has just rolled out the first version of our artificial intelligence-based writing assistant that is at the beginning for clients, which means we tell you what features a post should have to be successful. Okay. For instance, you write a tweet and then we analyze you live and then you receive suggestions. You should put less hashtags in. You should keep line breaks between the lines, but it's adjusted to the text itself, right? So we give you the top 3 suggestions for making your text better based on analyzing your text. This is just the first version. We're planning to roll out a second one for the actual sharers. So when they receive a suggestion from a company, we help them making that better and customizing that in their own language to increase shareability and to increase the chances that their friends will click on it and they'll like it. So this is where we're going.
And how does it work? So I think people would be interested to know how it would work with regards to, for example, like with the tea company we had a question from earlier. How would you work with them to come up with the suggestions? That, like, finding how they speak to their customers, is that the right way they should be speaking to their customers? How much of that do you take on board?
So it depends a lot on how big the company is. Bigger companies have in-house marketing teams who already know what messages they want to promote.
Yeah.
We come in to teach them to write it from the perspective of the sharers, because this is the biggest difference. Most corporate marketers are used to writing from the perspective of the company. Here, the key is to write a message that you and I will share. Right? So you need to put yourself in the shoes of the sharer.
Yeah, that's the key.
For smaller companies, we have we offer, as part of the initial packages, we offer depending on how big the subscription is and how big the organization is, we either have FAQs that are done specifically for the most important use cases, or we provide consultancy services to make sure that the client makes the most of the tool. There's many ways. For instance, for the organic tea company, there's a few ways to do this. One way is to do an email campaign where you email all of your current customers and you ask them to refer and offer them a discount to your product if they refer, and you basically you do a scoreboard about it. Another way, if let's say you were partnering with restaurants or shops, you could do a printed campaign where you actually put on your bottles a QR code that is unique, that people can scan, and it will take them to the SpeechifAI page, and they could share that way.
Cool, like it.
So it's not all needs to be online, right? There's so many ways to actually bring people into the offline for them to actually be able to share easily that way. There's middle steps where people created scan a QR code. It gives them a discount on the bottle they're buying on the spot. But then if they put their details in, then they receive an email to also refer a friend. There's so many ways, but it's really important for us to know what the companies already have in place, because we want to work with that. This has been the core of what we've been doing. A really important part about SpeechifAI is that we don't require any integration, which means if you have your own CRM system, we come as an add-on on it. You don't need to change your CRM system that you're using, whether it's email or whether it's website work that you do. You just embed our link in there, which makes it very easy, and that's why our referral rates are very high. Because also on the side of the customer, we do not require them to log in through us, which means that if their social media platform is it's already open on their phone or on their they're already logged in, they take content from SpeechifAI, they share it directly. The cool thing is that you as a client can know who was who if you pass through us those unique identifiers. We wouldn't know the identity of your sharers, but we will give you their behavior based on the identifiers, and you can match that with the data you have. But we do not have any data about their identity at all.
Livia says, why would other people share our posts?
When you say do you...
It's hard to make them review our business, but even harder to do that.
That's a great point. When people... So writer's block is the best, is really the key stumbling block here. When people leave a review, they have to write about their own experience from scratch. Whereas we come in and we say, hey, you don't need to do that. Because we already have some messages created for you that you can customize. This is a written rule in speech writing. The best speech writers write a really great draft that then the speaker can own and personalize. It's the same thing here, and also it's incentives. Like if you do a referral marketing program, you need to have incentives and to reward your customers for bringing their friends on as well.
Yeah, no, and even if it's, I find when we're trying to get reviews and ratings for my podcast, things like that, it's only when you then incentivize people to do so that you'll drive a load of extra. And they're all, again, like you say, they're all existing fans of the show, but trying to get them off one platform to go and do something else, like they're listening to something, you want them to do something else. The same as like if they're eating a meal and you want them to go and refer, etc. If you can incentivize them, and like you say, you can do as much for them as possible, then it eliminates all of that writer's block, doesn't it?
And there's also another thing here. And I saw two other questions from Liviu and then John, so I'll answer them afterwards. Timing is key in referral, which means that you need to catch people at exact the right time, which often means that you need to have a very high cadence of reminders. This actually works better in the US than in Europe. In Europe, we don't want to be invasive in people's lives, so we usually send one request and then we're like, well, they probably didn't want to do it, so I won't bother them again. In the US, people assume that the reason why a referral hasn't happened is because you didn't catch them at the right time, so you need to follow back. Some of the most successful referral programs our clients have run, have a cadence of even 6 reminder emails in 8 weeks at different time points, right? Based on different interactions, so that you can catch people at the right time. This may not be the right one for every business, but I do think reminders are important, or catching people in multiple channels. For instance, for Appen, now we're discussing what's the best moment to refer an ebook. Is it when people land on the page? Is it after they read it? Is it when they downloaded it? So you need to test different things and to see what works. So, Liviu,
you got the questions, cool.
About the pricing, we only have an off-the-shelf version for the trial, which means you can sign up for it and it's free and you can use it up to 100 users. All of the other ones, we actually offer customized offers to our clients depending on their budget and depending on their organization and depending on their needs. But we work with companies of all types, from very small startups to big global corporations. So, and our prices are adjusted to that. For B2B, it depends on the use case. It could work for affiliate programs. So let's say you have I'll give you an example. I was speaking a couple of weeks ago with a fintech company that does currency conversions, but they only work with other companies. They don't work with customers directly. And they have a network of 150 affiliates who are bringing business to them. And they've realized that a very easy way to do that is by actually giving them prepackaged messages that these people could share easily, either when they get in touch with people on LinkedIn or on email or in any other way, so that they have them already created.
Okay, cool.
That's why I'm saying it depends a lot on the use case.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Any other questions you got? Post them up. So we've had a run through of the platform from Tudor, and we've shown a couple of examples there as well. Let me check, see if there's any more questions over there. Okay. And what would your advice be for people, for business owners, for entrepreneurs now? Again, it's the uncertainty, isn't it, for people knowing, when it comes to marketing their business. It's interesting me getting more and more inquiries, people asking about starting podcasts for myself, and they're all, becoming volume-wise more and more. But people again going, we're waiting to get our adjusted budget figures and all that kind of thing. What would your be advice for people for the next, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks maybe, until the next signs of recovery we hopefully see when it comes to marketing for their business? Because again, like we said earlier, it's just the cost of acquisition per customer. If you can just look inwards and communicate. For me, it's about communicating with your existing customer base, about producing content that they find enjoyable, find entertaining, find educational, find informative, find inspirational, all those kinds of things. What advice would yours be, Tudor, as well?
Is to listen to their needs. People's needs change a lot now. Their entire behavior has changed completely. I think the best thing to do is to find out what they need and to try to meet those. And marketing plays a key role in this, because it helps you listen and it also helps you communicate. But doing marketing as you used to do it 3 months ago won't work. Also, doing marketing by not having first listened to, known what your current customer needs are, is also not going to be very effective. So you need to be responsive. You need to show that you're listening to them and you're listening to their current needs. There's I was speaking to someone yesterday who gave me the perfect example. So he works for a company that helps people take out junk from their homes, whether it's old furniture or even trash, through a system that is basically like Uber Eats, right? So someone comes to your home, takes the junk, you don't see them, you just leave it at the door and then you leave. And he told me a very interesting example about Uber Eats itself. So one of his friends has a door that opens on the outside rather than on the inside. So this touchless delivery service that Uber Eats has just launched 2 weeks ago is was a bit tricky for him, because the delivery people left the package at the door, but when he opened his door, he opened it outwards, and everything's still all over the place.
Got it.
So he was like, I would love to be able to have a comment section in Uber Eats where it tells the delivery person where to leave that. Is it on the first step? Is it on the second? Is it on the fifth? Right. So Uber Eats is great for this, because like in a very short time span, they've adapted their service, and now you have touchless delivery where you actually don't meet your courier. So they've listened and implemented. Now the second step is actually working out these like really small things that can annoy certain people or actually ruin their food because of it, right? And it's the same thing in every business. But once you've listened to your needs, and once you know you can come up with an offering that is tailored for that, you do need to communicate it so that people know about it, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to use it.
Yeah. Very good. And it probably good at this point then to wrap up, but send people to have a look or to find out more information. As Livy says, does she need to make an inquiry to find out the different pricing options? I'll let you handle that and send people where. I think somebody posted up the URL for the website earlier. So speechify.tech. So that's Speechify with AI at the end, correct?
Exactly. And with your help, we've prepared a promotional offer for Festival of Enterprise Demcast listeners, Festival of Enterprise webinar listeners, that we can distribute after the call to everyone who signed up for the webinar. And you'll have all of the information there, and also a promotional code that you can use to have a discount on our subscriptions.
Okay, cool. Where'd you say that was going to be then?
So I'll share it with you and Veronica after the call, so that you can share it with everyone else.
So I can email everybody now after each webinar finishes. So whenever you want me to, I can. Everybody registered as well. So even those who ran out of time, weren't able to jump on in time, I'll send an email out to everybody. And again, I'm just posting up. I'm always happy to connect with everybody. Just popping up my LinkedIn profile there as well. You'll find.
I'll put mine in as well, so that people can
just
have
about to say, very good. Yeah, so I'll email everybody who's on here today. So those of you watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, you will need to. You can still go back and register for this webinar, so you can watch the replay. But if you want to get the information that Tudor's talking about, you just need to register for this webinar. So you'll have plenty of time to do that, and I'll get round to sending that either later today or tomorrow. Worst case scenario for everybody, depending on when Tudor gets me that info.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you all very much indeed. Before you all go, next webinar is being hosted by my good self. I'm talking about how to amplify your brand with podcasting. That's coming up in just over an hour on here as well. You just need to register for that webinar, talking all things podcasting. So if that's of interest to you as a marketing channel for your brand, come on over and join us for that. And as I say, in the meantime, thank you for Tudor for joining us today. We'll send
Alex.
an email. You are welcome. I will send an email to everybody who's registered for this, and you'll be able to find out more information. Thank you, John. Thank you, Paola. Thank you, Raina. Appreciate it. Thank you, Warren, as well, for your questions, and everybody who posted a question up today. Greatly appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day, Tudor, in Amsterdam.
Thank you so much. You too, Alex. And thanks a lot for inviting me again. I really enjoy speaking to you, and you're an amazing podcast creator. So everyone, do stick for the next session in an hour, because
thank you,
Alex will be sharing some really good advice.
I will. Just going to go finish off a presentation right now, funnily enough. Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you. And I am going to sign off now on here. And have a great day, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.